morning, guys. I wanted to hop on today and talk about some of the questions I've been getting about my curriculum. So again, I developed my curriculum based off of my research from historical samples and exemplars. In today's cursive curriculum, a lot of it is just tracing repetition over and over and over. And I don't feel like tracing is necessarily the best way to develop muscle memory and to learn cursive. So I'm going to talk to you a minute about drawing. And if we look in this book here, I'm just going to try and find one that's a little bit easier. Okay, if I want students to draw this dog, right, I am not just going to give them this picture of the dog and have them trace it over and over and over again. Because you know what? We're all pretty good at tracing, right? If I printed that dog out several times, even my little kindergartner or fourth grader could trace this. I actually have 3 kindergartners. They started kindergarten this year, my triplets. But even last year, we have this little projector that they are tracing shapes, like little pictures with, and they can do it. They can do it just fine. They can trace along those lines, but they're not necessarily drawing it by themselves, right? So if I want a student to draw this dog, if I'm breaking the shapes down first and adding the shapes, then when they get to this, they can see, okay, I've got this shape and then this shape, and then I need to add this shape and this shape, right? If you are using what I call artist eyes, if I'm teaching art, it's like, okay, use your artist eyes and look at what shapes you see. So if I were to just pull this right here, I would encourage the students to look, okay, I see straight lines, but there's also shadows up here, so I'm always encouraging them to use their artist eyes. That's what makes a good artist, is they use their eyes and then they put it on paper. So it's the same principle that I use in my curriculum. There is not a lot of tracing. Now, if your student is struggling and they haven't, figured out quite yet how to do this, then I encourage them, yes, go ahead and trace. That's what these model letters are here for. So I would have them trace if they need to, unless they've already been exposed to cursive, right? I would have them trace, and then there's empty space. So when I'm teaching in person, I pretty much just tell my students, if there's empty space, fill it up. So because these all sit in the X height, meaning one line width, I technically could just come down to here and practice. And we want to go slow enough that we're looking. I'm looking and seeing that I'm coming up to my X height, I'm going down to my baseline, and I'm using those artist eyes. Now we started, let's see, this is lesson 3. So we started with the shapes, right? We started with the underturns, the curves, the down, slant up, and there's a reason we started with those shapes. And then there's also a reason we don't just go A, B, C, D. It's because these letters, although in alphabetical order, are not necessarily related. So we do the I and the U, the M and the N together because they are all built from the same shapes. So we want to go slow enough, again, that we can look at the model and use our artist eyes to create our own set of letters. Okay, and then I'm just filling in the space. I don't necessarily need a specific amount. I just want students to get used to filling in empty space. And this is different than handing them a tracing workbook and say, okay, you've got to get a page done. I really just want them to start using those eyes. And if they want good penmanship, and if you want them to have good penmanship, then you will encourage them to slow down and really take the time to look and learn the shapes. The reason these slant lines are here is because I'm also looking at the slant, and then I'm also checking my X height and my baseline. We want to make sure that we're starting at the baseline, going all the way up. These are nonsense words. Going all the way down and back up. So it's really more about using our artist eyes so that we can put the shapes together to make the letters. I was getting some questions about, let's see, like on this page, where do they practice? And while I just explained a lot of that, if they are still needing to trace, go ahead and have them trace and then go right next to it. There's room that they can trace and get the feel of it and then go right next to it. I can even fit one more in. Trace and go next to it. Trace and go next to it. Okay, so that kind of explains my thought process on learning the letters. And then we also start with the 1/4 inch guide sheet. I do that so that they're a little bit larger so that you can really look at the shapes. Look at where they start, where they end, where they curve. And then at lesson 20, we switch to 1/8 inch. So they get a little bit skinnier like this, which is more natural. This is a more natural size to write with. But we want to start with this larger size so that we can really study the shapes. Okay, I have built into the curriculum that each time you sit down to do handwriting practice, you will do a warm-up. As some of you were asking, well, what warm-up should I do? And there's a whole page, a sample page there for you. It doesn't mean you have to do it specifically that way. It's simply to get your arm moving. So if you want to do the same warm-up over the whole page, that's fine. You can just choose something to get your hand, your arm, or the student's arm moving. Okay? This doesn't need to be done before each worksheet if you're doing multiple lessons in one day, which again, just a reminder that it is set up so that students could complete an entire lesson 3. Older students would easily be able to do a full lesson in one day, or younger students, younger learners could break that up into 4 days. That's why I've got 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4. But each time you sit down, you'll want to have your student do a warm-up. If they're still feeling not quite ready for this type of penmanship where they are doing it on their own, and you feel like they just need that tracing practice, because in today's world we are so used to everything being given to us and we just have to trace, or we just have to, follow the lines or this or that. There is this tracing exemplar. I have it built into the curriculum to do it on Fridays. But last year, for example, my 3rd grader, because he's 4th grade now, he does not love writing. He could read me any word in the world, I feel like, but you give him a pencil and he just slows down. He does not like writing. So I did start my lesson out with a warm-up and then had him trace just to get his arm moving. And then we moved into the worksheets. So do what's working for your learner. I think there's a lot of ways that you can adapt this to make it work, and I've tried to make it flexible for all ages, and reach out if you have any questions. But you can use this more than just on the Friday division if you need to. Use it every day if you feel like your student will benefit from this. I just want to point out again that really I think that the artist eyes, that's what I always tell my students, use your artist eyes. Is it stopping here? Is it going to the top? Is it curved? Is it straight? Using artist eyes will develop that muscle memory faster rather than, like I said, just giving them the sharp to trace over and over. If I break it down into shapes, they can see it a lot better and draw it on their own. Okay, I will stop here, but keep asking questions if you have them. I'm just going to work through this page here and show you what it might look like. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. I am back in school. My kiddos are back in their programs. I also homeschool, but I do plan to get out my videos now each week that summer has ended. So feel free to let me know in the comments what other questions you have, what other examples you might need, and I'm happy to do some videos for you. Thanks for watching. Happy writing, and I will see you in the next one.